Can Tank Dell be an elite wide receiver? Can I interest you in some stats? And one of his teammates says he already is. Let's go inside the locker room on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is.
Wide receiver is the most polarizing position for the Houston Texans this year. We wonder who is going to be the number one guy. We talk about Nico Collins. We talk about Stefon Diggs. Could Tank Dell end up being that guy? Could I interest you in some stats? Let's look at Tank Dell, the 2 games that he played without Nico Collins, which were really, really big games for the Texans. Some of the heroics of CJ Stroud on display. Tank Dell in his 2 games without Nico Collins on the field, and I'm not counting. I'm not counting games where maybe Nico was hobbled, but the 2 games without Nico, Cincinnati and Arizona, Tank Dell had a combined 14 catches on 24 targets, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns. In fact, when you look at Tank Dell minus Nico Collins, there's a lot more target share and a lot more trust from CJ Stroud. The receptions, they go up 3. The targets, they go up 6. And the yards, they go up 43 yards per game. He also has a touchdown per game minus Collins. Small sample size, 2 games, but that's where it's at. Now, you might say, well, obviously, if Nico Collins isn't on the field, Tank Dell is going to get more statistical production and vice versa. But that's not actually the case all the time, because Nico Collins minus Dell, his receptions actually just go up 0.5. The yards per catch goes up, though. He actually averages less targets and is plus 24 yards when you even it out. Now, he's had some really, really big games without Dell. For the sake of this, I actually counted the Denver game in which Collins had, I think, 56 yards on the second series when Dell went down. I counted that as a game without Dell, but he's also had some moderate games as well. So it's kind of interesting how when Nico's out, CJ leans on Dell heavily, but when Dell is out, you don't necessarily see the same with Nico. Let's hear from Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, newest wide receiver for the Texans, big acquisition, finally spoke this week. Here was what he had to say about Tank Dell. And if we're asking the question, can Tank Dell become a star? Stefon Diggs believes we might be a little bit late to the party.
You had a star receiver get hurt. When I speak of star, I think Tank's a star, straight up and down. Get hurt, and you still had other horses in the stable come in and play very well, play at a high level. Obviously, with Neek, I feel like you give him the pieces, he's going to make them shake. You know, obviously, when I look at his offense and the time that I've spent with him, I'm kind of relaying back to, a couple teams that I've seen on tape, and he showed me a little bit. And those guys had a lot of stars on that team. You know what I'm saying? They played at a very high level, and they had a lot of success. So, like I said, there's a lot of horses in the stable. I really look forward to making it all shake.
All right, there you go. And here's something that nobody's talking about when it comes to, by the way, that kind of sucks. Stefon Diggs had his walk-off line right there. I look forward to having it shake and tried to walk off, and they had to answer another question, man. Damn. That's like dropping the mic and having to go back and pick the mic up and answer questions. I feel for you, Diggs. You tried to end it in style, didn't get to do it. There's a lot of talk and there's a lot of dialogue about Stefon Diggs and, oh man, can he eat with someone else? Is he going to be happy if, he's getting he's not getting all the attention. He's not getting all of the targets and all of the receptions and stuff. And I think there's actually a pretty good statistical backup that Stefon Diggs doesn't really have an issue eating with other guys. Pause, but eating with other receivers, maybe double pause, but producing with other receivers, we'll say. 2020, Stefon Diggs was a first-team All-Pro. It was the only time in his career that he was a first-team All-Pro. And he had 1,535 yards, 8 touchdowns, Cole Beasley that same year actually had 82 for 967 and 4 touchdowns. They were both all-pro. Stefon Diggs was first-team all-pro. Cole Beasley was second-team all-pro. So Stefon Diggs has been able to produce at an elite level with another guy producing at an elite level, and we really haven't heard too much about it. And really last year in Buffalo, we really didn't hear about it a lot during the season. There were maybe some whispers. Those whispers seemed to get a little bit louder whenever he left. But the data shows and the facts show that he's willing to produce and allow others to produce at a high level as well, the highest level. Let's hear from Tank Dell. Do you think Tank Dell can be an elite wide receiver? It's also been a very, very, very active, interesting offseason for Tank Dell. Let's hear what he's got to say about all this. Tank Dell right here in the locker room.
I look all right. All right, perfect. Yeah, I give all the glory to God, for sure. It's been a blessing, nothing short of a blessing, just to be out there, just running around. I don't even have to get the ball, just running around and just running routes, just feeling love for my teammates. It feels great.
I know we've heard on social about what happened that night. Are you able to tell us, I know this is the first time we're hearing from you about the incident in Florida, the shooting,
yeah.
Kind of where you were in proximity, maybe how it's changed your perspective at all?
It definitely, I don't want to keep reliving the experience. It definitely changed my perspective of things, like, hanging around, like just not even hanging around, but just being around the right group of guys and stuff like that, or being in the right situations. But, just wrong place, wrong time. So just got to live with it. I'm blessed, God blessed me to get out of that situation healthy. I was only down for like a week without just like working out. But after that, I got right back to work and I'm feeling good. So.
How happy are you just to be back, being on the football field, being around the guys, and how is it being around, one of your best friends, CJ Stroud? Yeah, man, words can't explain, man. CJ been with me since the offseason ended. We've been with each other in LA, here in Houston, everywhere. So that's been great. That brotherhood is not gonna go nowhere. But just being around like the whole team has been good. We got new faces and them guys cool. We all in there having fun. Building our chemistry in the locker room and then taking on to the field. So it's just been good. Everybody having fun. You see everybody smiling. We got something special brewing here in the organization, and we're ready to get to work.
Hank, I know that gun violence is a problem across America, and a lot of people deal with it. But when you had to deal with it firsthand, how scary was that, and how much do you feel for other people that have had to deal with this? Yeah,
it's definitely scary, not only for myself but for my family, because I don't want to put myself in that type of position, and especially like my family. Like I got a little brother, my mom. I know how they was feeling at that time, and it's just a blessing that I'm safe, but it's a traumatic experience.
Overall, how are you? Overall, how are you just mentally? How are you just feeling?
Overall, I'm good. I go to church every Tuesday. I pray every night, pray every morning. I know I got God on my side, and that's the most powerful thing to have. I got God on my side, keep Him first in everything I do. So I feel good. I got the right group of guys around me, keeping my head up. My mom, my pops, people back home, like my grandmother, everybody praying for me and just calling me, checking in every day now. Like they just call. My grandma texts me every day now. Like it's crazy, but it's like it's good. I'm good. My mental's right, and I'm just ready to get back to work. Ready to work.
In what ways did the organization support you? And then second, different question, what are your goals? I'm sure we talked about it in a fresh perspective. What are your goals for the season?
Yeah. So first, shouts out to Nick, D'Amico, my receiver coach, Coach Ben, everyone. They reached out. They was calling when the situation happened, and since I've been hurt, they've been showing tremendous love. Everybody been showing a lot of love and just letting me know, reassuring me that they were right by me the whole time, every step of the way. So that's been good. And my goals, I said it on the podcast. I'm pretty sure y'all, some of y'all saw it, but I got some big goals. That's all I'm gonna say right now. I got some big goals, and I'm looking forward to stepping in that light and achieving them.
What is it like being with Stefon Diggs, being around him, watching him operate?
Yeah, me and Diggs like this. That's my guy. So, he been in the league for a minute, and he know the steps to take to get there. And he's been a leader since he came in the locker room, you know, speaking to us and just giving us knowledge, giving us game, you know, pouring back to us and making sure we know the steps to take to get to where we want to go. So he's been nothing short but amazing, the whole group of receivers, all of us. But he's ready to, you know, ready to go. You know, he still got that it factor. And I feel like, you know, with all us coming at the opposing teams, it's gonna be special.
Tank, how much credit do you give to your trainer, Justin Allen? Because ever since your injury, we've been seeing you work out with him.
Yeah, Jay Allen, that's my guy. I give a lot of credit to Jay Allen. You know, my off times, during the off season, I'm always with Jay Allen. He have different workout plans for me. We go do hill works, outside stand work. In the weight room, we doing explosive things, upper body. We doing a lot of stuff that he putting together for me, and it's for free. So, so appreciate you, Jay. But man, bro, he been amazing, bro. He doing a good job.
There's another wide receiver in that, another young wide receiver that's had to handle multiple adversity. Were you able to lean on Mechie through some of the things you've gone through last year and this year? And what have you seen from him and his growth coming back to the game?
Yeah, Mechie, that's my guy. Me and Mechie close. Just like me and Mechie, and CJ for sure. Like we always have like deep talks. Like we always with each other. We always have deep talks, and just like what he went through, he's showing me like life is it's bigger than ball. But this is what we want to. This is what we want to do for sure. But like when he had his experience with the cancer and things like that, he was just showing me like he was telling me like it was like it opened his eyes way more. And then when I just had that experience, like it opened my eyes like. If I want to go, I want to go. I got to cut things out of my life that, you know, so I can achieve what I want to do. So me and him, we had big talks. But, man, Mechie, you know, he's been doing great. I know you guys been watching, but he's been putting a lot of work in. He's ready to rock. He's ready to roll, man. He's smiling every day, funny. He's ready to go to work. So it's been great.
Two things. Going forward, do you plan on doing anything to help other people that might help them avoid a situation you were in, or is it just something you're going to talk about?
Yeah, me and my agent been having talks about it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to do something. We can kind of come up with something. Now I'm not sure what we like got in plan yet, but we're going to do something soon. So.
And then now this is your second year in the league. Like, how different is it walking out there with the OTAs, a relationship with CJ, a relationship?
Oh yeah.
Year two.
I wouldn't say I'm comfortable because I'm never comfortable.
I want to get into this in a second because I think this is really important because it's one thing for me to compare the stats, Tank, Nico last year and all that, but year two, mark that because I think there is something about Tank in year two that I think is pretty important. I heard this brought up the other day. I thought it was a really excellent point.
You never want to be relaxed, but I'm way more comfortable than I was last year for sure. Just knowing the playbook, knowing where I'm supposed to line up, knowing where I'm supposed to be, and just going out there to have fun. You know, Coach DeMico, them harp on iron, sharpen iron. So just working hard and having fun doing it. That's the main thing. So.
Have you noticed a difference in CJ as well?
Say that again.
Have you noticed a difference in CJ as well going into year two for him?
Yeah, he definitely stepped into that leadership role way more than he did last year. Like last year, don't get me wrong, he was a great leader, but now you can see it like any miscues at practice. He's on us. Like, he like, all right, bro, come on. Like, you know, but he definitely stepped into the leadership role, and he's ready for it. He know we got a target on our back now. Like, last year was a prove-it year, and we still haven't proved ourselves, don't get me wrong, but we know that, like, people is looking forward to watching the Texans play football this year. So he's not taking that lightly. Like, he want to give the fans a show. So he's been on us like crazy. So it's been good, though.
Happened, were you at all worried that it could
talking about the shooting?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That it could impact your football career?
Definitely.
And how long till you knew you were going to be okay?
Definitely. So when it first happened, you know, when I was in the hospital, that's the only thing I was asking. Like, am I going to be all right to play football? Like, that was my main thing. Like, will I be okay to run and play football like I've been doing? So once they told me, like, it was just like a through and through. Like, once they told me that, and it was like, you'll be good.
Man.
You know,
that's
I was
deep.
good. I was ready to go.
Deep,
so.
Man.
Obviously, you know, you're from Florida, CJ from LA, but you guys are like really, really tight. And one thing that's been noticed is how CJ connects with everybody across the team. How are you and CJ, even though y'all both have different walks of life, have been able to be so tight?
I don't really think we have different walks. I feel like the conversations we have, like, we know each other. So I feel like we both have like the same background. Both was doubted like from a football standpoint. Both had like troubles in our homes coming up. So we connected well there. And then like once we just got with each other and we just knew of each other and we started learning each other and talking every day and just going over his crib and watching the football games when we off Thursday night games, Monday night games, and we just chilling with each other. We just started to like get that feel for each other, and now like we just like this. So it was just like that.
All right, there you go. One more.
Thank you.
Good. All right, there you go. That's Tank Dell. God, I think it's important to listen to the press conferences. Now, don't just play audio to play audio, but I think if you're following a team and you want to get the grasp, I think listening to every word that they say is important. I think it's good for building a story. I think it's good for getting a pulse of and getting to know the guys. That's the opportunity. So I think it's important. You can tell that Tank, in a short time, has gone through a lot. The significant injury as you're thriving and playing well. And then the offseason stuff, which he just touched on and was really candid about. Here's my thought that I have about year two for Dell. That this was brought up actually by Seth Payne, Sports Radio 610, former Texan, also has a YouTube channel. He brought up the fact that the offense that Tank Dell came from was so much different than what Bobby Slowick runs. And you heard them on $1 Million Worth of Game talk about how big the playbook was. I do wonder, like when it comes to taking the leap, how much easier this is going to be than last year. Because you go from, I don't know, I don't think that Dana Holgerson's Mike Leach, where you have 8 plays or whatever the hell it was, rest in peace. But it's definitely, it's along that same type of thing. It's an easier offense to run, and that's not the case with Slowick's. And we still saw him produce at a very high level, whether Nico is out there or not. We saw it on script. We saw it off script. So I do wonder if perhaps the leap from year one to year two and just the overall, how much easier stuff gets is significant for Dell based on that. The case for Tank Dell as a number one wide receiver, I think there's a couple of things. What we actually saw last year when he was on the field, like in the most clutch situations. I mean, Nico made a lot of plays, and there were a lot of times where Nico made plays. A lot of times it felt like it was a little bit early, but late in games, you think about the Tampa Bay game, the sideline, the far sideline, and then the sideline coming towards the game-winning touchdown, and then the game-winning touchdown. It seemed like Tank was there for CJ a lot. Other thing is, and I don't know how much this matters, they seem to be best friends. They seem to have built a bond. That bond seems even stronger than it was, and it was already pretty strong. I don't know how that impacts it. I'm not saying that CJ is like going to force it to Tank if someone else is over, but they seem to be best friends, and I think you can factor that in with what you saw last year. And I think the other thing that was brought up, just the difference in the playbook last year to this year. That's the case for Tank is number one. The case against would be, look, we've seen Tank Dell play one season, and in that one season, he was injured. Now, was it flukish? Yes, it was. But even before that, we saw him kind of land on his head against the Falcons, making the diving catch. We saw him leave that game and then miss a game after that. Is Tank Dell a guy that can stay on the field consistently? You know, so whether it's flukish, whether it's not flukish, whether it's just football, however the hell you want to look at it, sometimes guys just can't stay on the field. Nico Collins has missed 12 games. So the case against, if we're just looking at a small sample size, would be, can he stay on the field? We only have 1 year sample size of that. But there is a strong case for. The one thing about this is, man, the Texans got a hell of a receiving core. They seem to have a hell of a young man in Tank Dell, and he has been through a hell of a lot. And I think I'm going to go eat me some hell of a good sour cream dip. By the way, elite jalapeno Lay's kettle cooked with hell of a good. You talk about trios, combos, that's one of the best combos you can get. Jalapeno kettle cooked Lay's with hell of a good dip. Thank me later. Appreciate you for coming through. Subscribe, like, right along. It is the Locker Room. We'll talk on the live stream. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Thanks so much for coming through. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Locker Room on YouTube.